If you could only choose one type of training, cardio, strength, or mobility, what would you pick? Now, it's a simple question, but it makes you think a little differently about what actually matters. I didn't even hesitate. I said strength training. I was out at dinner with a few friends, the kind of group where exercise always finds its way into the conversation, and someone asked that exact question. And I remember thinking afterwards, well, that answer came out very quickly, almost instinctively. Not because the others don't matter, they absolutely do. But if I was forced to choose just one thing, that's where I'd start. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Because strength training seems to give you more back than almost anything else you can do with your time. It's not just about getting stronger, although that's part of it. It's that it quietly supports so many other things at the same time. Bone density, for example, something most of us don't really think about until much later, but it becomes especially important for women. And it's one of those things where your body actually needs load to maintain it. It doesn't just happen from moving more. Or muscle, which we naturally lose over time if we're not intentional about keeping it. And I think this is something people underestimate because it's not just how we look. Muscle is one of the biggest predictors of how well we function as we get older. Even things like blood sugar, joint support, stability, strength training touches all of it. And the more I've worked in this space, the more I've started to see strength not as one piece of the puzzle, but as the foundation that everything else builds on. If you're looking to put the pieces of the puzzle together, that's exactly why we built a 28-day strength training challenge inside MOSSA On Demand. It gives you a simple structure to follow so you're not guessing, you're just showing up and doing the work. It's free to join and you can find that through the link below. And this is where it starts to feel a little more important for women because women tend to live longer, but we're also more likely to spend those later years with less strength, less stability, and less independence. And I've started to notice this more, not just in research, but in conversations, in real life. Strength just isn't always something women are encouraged to prioritize early enough. So many of my friends, myself included, grew up in the cardio is king generation. And it's not that cardio isn't important, it absolutely is. But it's often been the thing that gets prioritized over everything else. And over time, that lack of strength focus adds up because our bodies respond to what we ask of them. And if we stop asking them to handle load, they adapt to that. And if we keep asking more of them, they adapt in that direction too. And for me, this has become less about chasing anything and more about maintaining something. Now, there was a time in my life where training felt more about performance or pushing or improving. But now it feels more like I just want to stay in a body that works. I want to move through my day without hesitation. I want to feel capable. And when I think about strength training in that context, it feels less like something extra I should do and more like something that supports everything else I want to keep doing. Now, my husband and I, we love to go paddleboarding, and just pumping up our inflatable boards is a bit of a Herculean effort. We've counted. It takes about 300 pumps with the manual air pump. So point being, strong shows up in really simple ways, carrying things without thinking about it, moving objects without second guessing my capacity, feeling steady, feeling confident. Those things matter more than we sometimes realize. That is until they start to become harder. And the good thing is, strength training doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be hours in the gym. 2 to 3 times a week is enough to start making a real difference. And I also know this is where a lot of women hesitate. There's still this idea that strength training leads to getting bulky or building more muscle than you want. But the reality is, building significant muscle takes a lot of time, consistency, and intention. What strength training does much more reliably is help you feel stronger, more capable, and more supported in your body. And if walking into a weight room doesn't feel like your thing, that's exactly why things like group power exist. It gives you a way into strength training that feels more approachable, more structured, easier to stick with. I've always thought about aging a bit like an escalator. You can stand still and it will take you down. You don't have to do anything for that to happen. Or you can choose to walk the other way. It takes effort. It's not always comfortable. But with consistency, you can stay where you are or even move forward. And to me, that's what strength training really is. It's not just about adding more, it's about protecting what you already have. You don't need to become an athlete, but your body does need something from you because this isn't something you fix later, it's something that you build now. And while this matters for everyone, I do think it matters a little more than most women realise. And if you'd rather not do this on your own, there's something really powerful about training in a group. Group Power is our strength training program offered in health clubs and YMCAs with coaching, music, and a structure you can just step into. If you're curious what that feels like, you can use our program locator to find a workout near you. If you had to choose just one type of training, what would you choose? And are your current habits actually lining up with that answer? If not, what's one small way you could start shifting that this week? If this is the kind of conversation that resonates with you, I'd love for you to join me again. We'll keep unpacking strength and movement in a way that feels realistic and sustainable.